So the three proposals out there, and I would like your feedback on what you prefer here, or if there's another option out there. But one is to protect two rivals and then split the rest of the conference into two groups that you play every other year. The second proposal is the protect three rivals, and then you split up the conference 6 and 7, I guess would be the math, into those two groupings, or a flex protect in which you determine that every school has a different number of rivals that need to be protected. And before I go off, we'll hear from each one of you because I think it's rather obvious myself.
I've tried to do this and tried to protect three rivals, and I've put them on a spreadsheet, and it's pointless to do three rivals. I think there's maybe two or three schools where three rivals make sense, and it's like Iowa, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Minnesota, like those. I think those four. You could say maybe Ohio State, Michigan State, Penn State, something like that, or but or Michigan, Ohio State, Michigan with Ohio State, Minnesota, and Michigan State. But I think you can get away with two, and then if you want to keep that third alive with just schedule them 6 out of every 8 years or something like that. Keep people happy. Don't end the rivalry. To me, I think 2 is plenty. Having tried to put them all together on a spreadsheet, and for some like Rutgers, who is their second rival? Back in the day, they would tell you Michigan, but Michigan's not going to use one of their 2 spots. So I think 2 is plenty. And if you want to do 1, I'm also okay with that. But I think 2 is the sweet spot there, as Gene Smith would say.
Yeah, 2 probably makes most sense of anything. It's just USC and UCLA only have 1. I mean, they have each other. I mean, who would want to play them on an every other year basis on the road? I mean, guaranteed. I don't think anybody would want that. So I don't know. I mean, that sets up a scenario where, okay, USC is my rival and I have to go out there in 2023, but I've also got to at some point play a game at UCLA, so now I'm going out to the West Coast, 2 years in a row. Do I really, really want to do that? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. They got a lot of tough questions they got to answer. And this is so far down the line, but how do you have a 16-team basketball tournament? I know nobody, in Big Ten land is got that front of mind. I get that. But at the same time, that's something that, another hoop. I mean, what do you do for all these Olympic sports? It just, I was doing our own Bucknut show with our publisher, Dan Rubin, and, we foresee a day where, football will have its own format, and then the Olympic sports will be back on some type of a regional grid, where you say, okay, here's the Midwest hockey powers, go for it. Here's the Midwest wrestling teams, go for it. And it doesn't matter if your football plays in ACC, Big Ten, or independent, or Big 12 or whatever. You're Midwest wrestling, or whatever. Just because for cost containment, if they just put their heads together, that just makes more sense, And yes, Cal and Stanford are pissed at USC and UCLA for going to the Big Ten in football, but it also makes sense for them to be part of West Coast baseball or West Coast softball, or whatever you want to call it. And the regular season TV rights can revert to maybe your football conference or whatever, and it really doesn't matter. It's just this thing, So I think cooler heads need to prevail on that, because it doesn't make any sense to spend millions of dollars flying money-losing lacrosse teams and swim teams and wrestling teams all over North America just because they're part of the same football conference. It just doesn't make any sense. So maybe that's a solution. But again, that's not front of mind for anybody who's just a football person, So there are football issues, and then there's everything else. So And then there's also academic issues, both for the student athletes and the academic affiliations of the colleges. This think tank mindset that if the Big Ten adds Stanford, well, my God, now we can all log on to the Stanford database and get all their research and, cure cancer and everything else. So, I'm being overly simplistic on this, but, there's a lot more that goes into it than just front of mind football.
But Steve, you still need Big Ten plus inventory.
Yeah.
You can't get rid of all of the Olympic sports.